It's the SDG Podcast. Before we get started, you can check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com/podcast or find us on all the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Solution Design Group. AI brain fry, AI fatigue. We're going to talk about it today. With us, we got Allison Lorenzo.
Hello.
Greg Steer is joining us.
Hello.
Chad Judner.
Hey.
And Peter Lawrence.
Hello there.
And I'm Kyle Bacher, and I actually have AI brain fry right now. So it's real. You guys have it? Is it happening?
Well, let's
Occasionally.
real quick though. We'll kick it off by, I think this whole thing started because of a post that Greg put up on Slack. That I know, I mean, I don't know if you're seeing this, Peter, but like Java developers are seeing it. I'm sure Microsoft leadership developers are seeing it.
Yeah.
I'll let Greg go into what's happening there, but that's kind of what instigated this entire discussion.
Yeah, I posted something. Well, because there've been some other posts in our AI channel about related topics, right? And so I kind of just posted something about my recent experience with it, which was on my team. My team has turned over really quickly too. So I have like 3 junior devs who weren't part of the team, 3 months ago, right? And they're very young. They like most of them have never experienced a development career without AI. You know what I mean? And so it's just part of their natural tool set. So anyway, they're cranking out code, and ultimately what it is they're cranking it out faster than I can kind of keep up with the reviews on it, right? And so yeah, I would just said, it gets exhausting at the end of the day, just staring at AI generated code. And I think it gets exhausting, but there's always some fatigue with it, but it's a little different because it's maybe the fatigue without the reward. Like sometimes when I'm reviewing this stuff, I don't feel like anybody's on the other end actually listening, and you don't get that same reward of seeing somebody, learn or, through mentoring and whatnot. And so it's just, yeah.
Nobody talks about
post, but it's that.
vibe PRing, do they?
What's that?
Nobody talks about vibe reviewing a PR anywhere.
Right. Yeah. And I just really, it's just our processes just haven't really caught up with the development, right? Like the speed of development has increased, but our process has always been what I've told the new guys is, hey, log in the morning, go look at a PR or two, then pick up a task, work on that. When you create your PR, go review a PR or two, and then, kind of rinse and repeat. And that works only because it takes actually time to write code. But when it doesn't take time to write code, that whole process doesn't work. And so, we got to figure out a way to speed up that side of the development process, right?
And, you said vibe reviewing. Nowadays, part of my process, it starts with having AI review a PR with me, right? Like, yeah. I'll start by, we're Greg and I are at right now. It's a Copilot shop, right? So we use the Copilot CLI, and every PR that I get, we just you pull down that branch, you do a /review. It comes up with some points, but it does miss things sometimes. It doesn't catch. It doesn't catch like nuances to naming standards and some other things, and it doesn't necessarily understand the business logic, or the actual business process that we're trying to implement super well. But it will catch things like, I think the most common thing I put in pull requests now is all of the null pointer exceptions that code introduces, right? And the AI reviews capture that really well. So I'm not necessarily vibe reviewing 100%, but it is step one to my process. So like, yeah, we're getting but it's kind of weird, right? Because all of the code is written by robots, and then my robot now is going to check your robot's work. So,
But why didn't their robot stop themselves from putting null pointers in there in the first place?
yeah, great question, Peter. I'm assuming
They forgot to tell it, oh, and by the way, let's do this the good way instead of the
Yeah. Well, and that's I think, for me, like the things that I see, because I've started to do the same process that Chad is talking about, right?
well, you have to, right?
Yeah, I can't keep up with it, right? So I'm automating at least the initial review, right? And I'm trying to evolve a process and an instruction file and stuff so that it can at least tell me where to spend my time when I'm looking at these things, right? But I think for me and the PR I was looking at that sort of prompted me to go on my little rant was um, the context it was missing was, so this particular code wasn't real complicated, but it was adding a new feature. And I know the business, I've been working with these people long enough that when they see this, they're going to be like, ooh, can we add this, and that? They're going to expand on it immediately, right? And the way AI had written it was that expansion would have been quite a bit more difficult than if he wrote it the way I asked him to write it, right? And so that's context is hard to, how do you put that into AI, right? Hey, you know what? What you need to do is think like my current product owner or something. You know what I mean?
Well, it's hard to put that into junior developer too in the first
Right.
place, but that's the mentoring that you're talking about is where you can actually train them to like, hey, sit on your hands for a minute or so and think about the problem and the solution that you're going to start typing away you know, without actually doing it and see if it leaves any improvements.
Right. Well, and yeah, think about the future a little too, right? And again, like you said, with a junior developer, that's just something that comes with experience. But I don't know if there is a way to evolve an AI agent with that same experience to think into the future of my current clients or whatever,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome if it could.
I
And
think I try to do that with the stuff I do with tweaking the custom settings and things like that. I built an agent yesterday in Copilot Studio and realized that there is a ton of stuff that you can tweak and add and to improve what it's trying to do. I just ran it with nothing except go look at this. I didn't change the model or anything. I just ran it straight up, and it did kind of okay, but I could see that I have a lot of work to do. And I think for me, the pressure is that there's pressure to learn all these things, to stay on top of them, and actually learn how to use them. And then they change, and it's learn all over again.
right.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
many
there is
tools do you use when you're working with AI? Allison, how many AI tools are you using right now?
Not a ton. I need to expand still, but I think I'm mainly relying on the ones in Figma. So that includes like Figma Make, but also some of the cool like ones that are in the context of mocking things up. Like it'll replace context or content for you and it'll rename your layers, stuff like that. And then I also work at a place that is using Copilot. So I'm chatting with them. And then just on my own personal computer, I'm working on talking with Claude a little bit more. But I'm probably the simplest use case out of all of you on this call.
I don't know. I'm pretty simple.
I am too, actually. That's part of the problem.
I've been doing more Claude now. I'm kind of getting pulled over because I like it better than GPT.
Is that because it doesn't use emojis when it talks to you, or?
It does a better job of listening to my instructions that I gave it. And I have it. What I have every time it prompts me, I have it like list all of the rhetoric, persuasion, all that kind of stuff, so I kind of know what it's doing to try to win me over. Because if you don't do that, it's kind of a sycophant. But I digress. I did read an article about this AI brain fry, and when you get into more than three tools, it seems like that's the um, tipping point into more fatigue. What I also found interesting was the time things happen so fast that you're losing like a pause to let your reflective part of your brain kick in and think about what you're doing. And then as the day goes on, that kind of just disappears and you're just reacting and prompting and reacting and prompting and fine tuning and stuff like that. So I don't have the same experience that you guys do. Chad, I know that you dig into AI stuff, like just learning what's out there. What kind of overhead is that adding to your life?
Um, Not a lot. I mean, we used to talk about, so AI is going to write your code for you and it's going to help you do your reviews. And what do you do with all your free time, right? So for me, the time saved by these tools is time I spend learning, reinvesting in trying to double down on what I know about the tools and how I can save even more time. So I have I've been deliberate about spending time, outside of client work, building things with these tools, like trying to screw things up on my own time and not for a client. Peter, the site's back up again. Sorry about the outage. I think I just fired it up. Yeah, it's not really that much of an impact. I mean, I've done outside of the speaking and all the other stuff I do around these tools and this infrastructure. I don't hate it, right? Like it's such a huge revolutionary concept for our careers that it feels like time well spent, and I don't mind being a little bit ahead of all of this stuff instead of I don't want somebody like myself to have to explain it to me in 6 months because I fell behind on learning, what's going on out there. Does that make sense?
Capturing the changes and as they happen, kind of smaller bites.
Yeah.
It's kind of related to that. On my team, we're trying to figure out how to, basically how do we create and share a consistent, because there's so many tools, they keep coming up too, right? And they're changing all the time. And so sort of pre-AI, we as a development team, we had different ways to create a common sort of development environment, right? So we use Docker Compose and all of this stuff. And so you use that everybody's on the same database, they're using the same, maybe IDE or all of this other stuff, right? In fact, we just had a call this morning. We were kind of brainstorming hey, what can we share? So we have the instruction files, right, in our repos that help the prompts. But, I don't know, and this is just maybe my lack of knowledge of it. And, how can we share, say, for what MCP servers each individual is using, or how can we create that common AI environment to use in kind of large distributed teams, right?
That has all the same history, all the same prompt history and experience that everybody has at the same time, right?
Exactly. It has the same context. So if I'm working on the project, somebody new coming on, their AI environment or whatever we call it has that context without having to rebuild it up or whatever, right? So I think that's just part of the, maybe it's just part of the growing pains, right?
Right.
figuring out how to.
Yeah, you're the guy in the front with the machete carving his way,
Right.
and then everybody else behind you. And I think that like what you're doing is you're developing a workflow and a process around using the tools and doing all the things you need to do. You're doing them differently, but is the change like with the AI tools and models and all that, is that going to change your path and the things you do?
Yeah, I mean it's almost it's because the tools and stuff change so fast in the models, right? So even the patterns you lay down last week are like they're out of date this week, and so it does feel like there's a lot of start over, right? Like all right, redo, and so that kind of adds to the fatigue. It's just like man, it's trying to keep up is it's a lot of work just to keep up, just because things are moving fast. I mean, eventually it'll slow down and things will become a bit more standardized. But like in the current situation right now, it's just it can be exhausting because not only am I doing all of that, but I also have my actual work I have to do, right? Like I'm still expected to write some code. I'm on the hook for what my team puts out and goes into production, and I've got to make sure that's all good. And I'm on call when issues come up in prod, and I obviously don't want to be called in the middle of the night, so I want to ensure that code quality is there still, right?
100%. Yeah, and testing and everything else, right?
Yeah, right.
And then to have, I don't know if you've had this yet, but have you had anybody on your team sort of branch out and try a different AI tool while you weren't looking and sort of, hey, I've updated to the next version of Claude and it's way better. You guys should come along with.
I mean, a little bit. Like my team is pretty, yeah.
You've got
we're
junior
just kind of
guys right
slow.
now, right?
Right. And so everybody is kind of just doing their own thing. We're all kind of learning it or training ourselves in our own paths, which kind of scares me, right? I mean, this goes back to I want to find a way to create that common AI environment, because I do think like I would, I sort of rant. Wouldn't call it a rant, but I gave my experience, posted my experience of the fatigue that it does cause. But this is how development is going to go, right? So
right.
I'm not trying to fight
Maybe.
it by any means. I'm just, trying to figure out how to best move forward with it, right?
Yeah, and everybody is pushing really hard to use AI right now, right?
Yeah.
It is the bright shiny tool. Allison, I don't know, like, can you even do design without AI? I mean, I don't mean it that way. I mean,
yes.
Are you allowed to not use
Picking on
AI
her.
anymore, or are you pushed to use it?
Yes, Peter, you jerk.
I didn't mean it
Why
that
are you
way.
picking
I
on
meant,
Allison?
I know. I can do it the old-fashioned way. The current place I'm at is not pushing particularly hard, but
okay.
internally there's a voice saying like, you're going to be doing them dirty if you're not using all the tools you can to put out your best work and be as efficient as you can, because I know I'm rolling off on this date. How can I maximize my throughput before then? The answer is to use these tools.
Right.
And it's still a learning process to know when to implement those tools and when it's going to actually shoot you in the foot because you could have done it faster manually. I feel like design is still in that space, less so than development. There's still plenty of situations where I tried to use AI and it's like prompting the thing to make it look the way I want ended up being way slower and wasting a bunch of who knows electricity and water and stuff when I could have just spent 15 minutes to push the pixels myself, as it were. But I think it is interesting to think about, as humans using these tools, our brains are limited and like we want to rely on the AIs to get us further faster. But if we still have to look over all the work it's producing, that's really hard, right? Because suddenly you're like, you're doing the part of your job. Like, I mean, when Greg, you're describing the situation, I'm in my head, I'm imagining you as like this goalie for a soccer team. And it used to be like some cute kids who were like shooting towards your goal, and you're like, no, this can't get through. This can't get through. What if you try this next time? And now it's just a bunch of robots on the field pelting you with all these soccer balls. And like, that's not very fun. And you can't really teach them. So like, it doesn't sound like a rewarding part of your job anymore. And
No, that's a great analogy.
I think of self-driving cars like, well, I used to just drive, and now I have to keep a car from crashing. That's my new goal, is to not crash this thing that's driving itself.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not as relaxing as they sold it to us, right? Like, oh,
Mhm.
self-driving car, you'll be able to take a nap, read a book, but no, you get in it and you're just like on edge the whole time. Like, okay, is it gonna run over a kid? Is that gonna be my fault if it does?
It's funny. I rode in a car yesterday with our coworker Anna, and I wish she drove her self-driving car because that was terrifying. I'm kidding, Anna. You drove great.
I
did.
Yeah, I did ride with Anna in her Tesla, and she let me do the self-driving. And I let it drive itself for about 5 seconds before I panicked and took the wheel. And I'm like, I'll never do that again. Yeah.
She was driving her son's Civic, and she almost docked on into an F-150.
That's not a fair fight.
Nope. I'm teasing though. It was dark or whatever excuse. I don't know.
But that's an interesting analogy where your job is kind of the same but not the same anymore, where you're sort of preventing bad things instead of creating good things or creating as much. And Chad, do you have a lot of junior folks on your team right now?
Yeah. I mean, kind of. They were incredibly junior when they started on our project, 4 or 5 years ago.
So now they're seasoned veterans.
Now they've seen some things, and yeah. So I dealt a little bit. I mean, it's kind of a great analogy, right? Because Greg's pulling on junior developers to his project right now with the current tool set. I had to. We brought on junior developers, 5.5 years ago, when we didn't have all these tools available to us.
Right.
And it's exactly what Greg's saying. Like, it was actually kind of rewarding to kind of like help them understand, this is why this isn't a good idea. This is why this is bad. Like, it was doing code reviews was rewarding because we were helping real people, like, learn their craft a little bit better, and they got a lot out of it and felt good for us too. Now you're just correcting somebody's robot, and there's no joy in that. And it's it's not what it's not something I love, right? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. Well, like, because I had a lot of comments, so my post got a lot more, I guess, attention than I expected, but most of it positive. But there was a couple that said, well, there's always the fatigue, right? And they're not wrong. But I guess what I come to realize, it's the fatigue without the reward, right? Like, at the end of the day, you can be like, well, was it I'm tired, but was it worth it? And sort of before, you could usually say, yeah, right? There was some positive out of it. And now it's maybe just the same fatigue, but maybe without the reward, it just feels like worse or something. I don't know.
So, Greg, let me ask you this question. Do you think that your junior developers are ever going to turn the corner? Like, are they going to get enough feedback from you and get better?
Yeah. I mean, I actually, the junior developers I have, I actually have a lot of confidence. They're actually really, really great guys. But
cool.
But I also feel like that's maybe the exception. I mean, they're actually incredibly good.
Do you think the speed of their growth is sort of diminished a bit by the tools doing a lot of the work, or?
I don't know. Hard to say. Like I'd have to check back in a year or so.
Okay. They might be twice as fast as you and I
it
ever
could
were
be.
at that
I
age,
mean,
right?
I've used AI to actually, some of the code that cranks out, it's like I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's clever. I wouldn't have thought, you know what I mean? And so it is you can use it as a learning experience. I guess it's just, I think it's going to be kind of a little bit different for every person, right? Like what kind of person is using it? Is it the person that is interested in actually learning
Mm.
and growing, right? Or is it somebody who's just interested in like, I just want to make a quick buck and now it's easy to be a developer. And so I'm going to use AI to like, get into this field that,
Let the
pays better
robots
than
figure it
digging
out.
ditches, right? Yeah.
Gonna be
And so I think it'll depend on the person behind it. But, that
Yeah,
think
you
it's
wonder when
yeah.
those robot soccer players are gonna turn into real soccer players and
Right.
shoot correctly and stuff like that. That's kind of the worry that I have right now is that we are seeing a lot of there was another story in the Slack that, mechanical pipe fitter created an app and uses it all the time now. And it's like, well, that's good. I hope somebody checked his work and that he tested it all and that I'm not, my house isn't at the mercy of his robot program doing mostly the right things.
Yeah.
Allison,
I saw
is this
that.
like all the you can build a website in 5 minutes kind of claims with all those online tools? Now it's
Yeah.
you can build an app and there's no extra information provided other than you can do this in 5 minutes and it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it'll make you something. Whether it's a good thing, that's very different. And with being an actual experienced developer or designer or whatever, you can look at it and know the signs of what would be a good product or a bad one, a good website or a bad app, whatever. If you're just a layperson looking at the design of it, as long as it looks really pretty or it looks like what you're used to seeing with clean websites, you might just think, yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. It did a good job. When if you were actually to look at it through a lens of usability or efficiency or the scalability or, the stuff that you guys are concerned with, security and all that stuff, a lot of people won't know how to look under the hood to see if the thing they're driving is uh, reliable or not.
Well, that's kind of so like Peter, like what you were saying that, I saw that same post, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's cool, right? But it's not actually really that new of a story, right? I mean, like people have been using Excel or,
Mm-hmm.
all these
Access.
different tools to kind of ad hocly create an app that has been useful in their industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
think what that story doesn't tell you is, and so now AI does it, right? And it's sort of lowered the barrier of entry for that to happen. But in fact, half of the projects I've worked on over the years are just that. It's those people have these ideas, they worked, and then this is what's not in that story. The way that story ends is they then hire people like us to say, oh, let's turn this into something that's production ready, right? Like I view those as they're great proof of concept
Yeah.
to see if the idea works. But I don't think AI is quite ready to bring it to production ready.
I think
Meaning
yeah.
all of the things that Allison just said, right? Like you don't know security wise what it's doing. You don't know all that, but
Right.
I think we're going to see shadow IT like we've never seen it before. Um, I did some work at a place that had their website was okay. They just had a bottleneck where everything had to go through, and people would give up. And then when I went to help them out, the intranet was a OneNote over that these people had, and then these folks had a Word document, and some people were using an Excel spreadsheet. One group was using a .mht file of the old intranet that they had captured. And it's like, that's a bad sign. And now if it's like anybody can create an app, you know, what does that mean for IT?
More work.
Yeah.
Lots more work.
I see it as more work. I honestly do. I think, give people tools they need to come up with these great ideas. And like I said, it's not quite there to bring it to production ready on a bigger scale. And, they'll eventually realize that. And then that's where we come in. They're like, hey, can you maybe help us with this? Sure.
Allison, is there a user research angle to this where you can say, okay, build what you want and we'll take a look at it. And you have 20 people do that. And then you put it all together and it's, I don't know what you end up with.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about it in that particular situation where you're actually getting your user base to use AI to literally create their own custom versions. I suppose you could do that if you had the resources and you found groups of people who were familiar enough with the tools. The ways I have thought about it are like, suddenly you can do A/B testing or ABCDEFG testing really fast because you just spin up all these variations that you came up with, or you could even ask the AI, can you try to tackle this problem in 10 different ways? And I'm going to look through and sift through, and we can put them out in the wild and get usability testing on each one to really quickly learn which is the way we want to go with. But to actually get your participants to use AI to make their own mock-ups, how cool is that? I kind of like that. You're a genius.
No.
Look for lots of blinking fluorescent colored pages, and
it sounds like a terrible idea. But actually, it sounds super entertaining. I would love to see the outcome.
I think it would be fun. I think, not because you would take the winner's version verbatim. No, it's kind of like that saying that's always misattributed. Like if I asked what everyone wanted, it was like Henry Ford. They always thought Henry Ford said, if I asked what people wanted, they would have said a faster horse, when what they really wanted was a car, right? If you ask people to design their own thing, they will, and you'll learn from it, but you're not going to make the thing they asked for necessarily. It just gives you more information about how their mind works, what their tasks look like in their own mind. And then you can use that information with your own experience and intuition to create something they would actually have never thought they wanted, but actually did need.
You know how many times I've been asked to just recreate Excel?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's one of my great ideas that will suck tomorrow. Everybody create your own and we'll figure out the good stuff.
It was at that moment that the robot armies took over.
I mean, it does kind of.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was going to say, if you give people a blank sheet and say, create what you want, I tried to do that. Like the first time I did a wireframe, it was just like drew some boxes on a page and said, okay, what do you want? Where are we going to put it? And it was a failure. It was the worst meeting ever.
Lots of crickets.
But when I went back and I mocked up something for them to change, that was a whole different story. Then everybody was engaged and thinking about it. And and I think that everybody do your own AI tool is gonna fail.
That kind of goes back to what I was originally saying with that PR that I was reviewing. Was as I'm reading that PR, I'm thinking about what they're going to ask, because it's almost at that situation at my client where it's like you ask them what they want and they're not really sure, but if you give them a starting point, like here's what we got, then all of a sudden things start clicking and they're like, oh, I didn't know we could do that. Can we do this, and this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And You know, how do you how do you how do you tell AI that? How do you get that? How do you get it thinking that way? That's when we'll be we know we're doing it right when AI can think ahead like that and say, oh, this is probably going to spur another idea. So
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to look at it, like to have that future thinking and experience that, you know that somebody's going to ask for this feature. If I show them this cool thing, they're going to want it even cooler because they didn't know that they could get to that one step, right?
yep.
Chad, you're awful quiet. What do you think?
Um,
Are you fatigued?
well,
I mean, just
Do I
tired of
look
talking about
fatigued?
AI.
Distracted.
I think we kind of hinted at it earlier. I mean, AI fatigue as as a contributor to like our day to day. There's also like every once in a while, I kind of get tired of talking about it. Like it's the only thing that I mean, even walking around in the Cub Foods or the liquor store, like you hear people talk, like just non-industry people talking about AI, and I'm just, I, I wish there was something else, like I wish it didn't occupy so much of our,
Consciousness?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yesterday at Shoe, Chad, we were sitting there at happy hour and the whole group took pause because there was a group of guys. They had to be like, I don't know, 70 at the table next to us. And they were talking about AI.
yeah, I just, I don't know. I mean, I'm into it. I love the tools. I love exploring with it. I love building with it. Uh, but can we please God just talk about baseball or something else? Like I don't necessarily know that I want to listen to 75-year-old dudes talk about AI.
So how
I
are
guess-
they using AI in baseball?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, I think I do wonder if that goes back to the fatigue, right? Of like, there's only so much fun you can have talking with robots and looking at robot stuff. It feels different from working with your buddy next to you in an office and like talking or learning from one another or ideating together. And similarly, like when you can just go so fast, like in my own experience, I can prompt to make designs so quickly that I feel pressured to just keep building and building when it's more fun or maybe just less fatiguing to take breaks and think about possibilities and like, is this even a worthwhile thing to pursue? With these tools, it's more just like pursue, no matter what.
Mm.
Yeah,
Execute,
kind of,
execute.
Part of that article I read,
yeah.
that was a recommendation. You know, allowing time for that reflective brain to kick in
Yeah.
and think about what you're doing and the impact of it. And
Yeah. Go out and touch some grass for a while, like go get a coffee with a coworker, like take a shower and think on it.
I have
What
to
about
wait.
baseball?
I didn't rake last year, so I don't have any grass yet.
Allison, don't tell us to run our toes through the grass. That has a different meaning for Greg and I, and it's dramatic.
Do I want to know?
I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Great, great.
It's a whole thing.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. You guys are right. When we talk about like sort of the end users or, our customers taking that AI prompt and running with it, a lot of times we'll see it, wait, you took a left turn, come back, let's try that again. Or this is a path that's not going to lead anywhere good. We need to start over, forget what we're doing. Let's think about it for a minute. And I don't know that Nobody talks about AI being a frustrating tool also, right? Like, hey, you're getting really close to what I want, but not close enough, and you keep doing it wrong. Or, hey, you're doing that wrong. Why are you doing that wrong? Stop doing that wrong. Stop using emojis, right, Kyle? Like you had to
Yeah,
order your AI to stop using emojis.
I have had to dispense some serious parking lot justice on ChatGPT and, trying to build just stupid little video game. And it was so hard, so many iterations of that. Um, and then it's like I'm building this, but I'm not building it. So I
Right.
don't feel as like I'm not real proud of it. It's
Yeah.
like when
There's no
I
reward.
was really into
Mhm.
creating these AI images and making funny stuff, and then I realized it just felt empty. Um, it's like I'm not an artist, but I play one on TV.
I play one on TV.
More
I
paint by
will-
numbers.
Peter, I think that's actually part of. So my post got a lot of attention, and I got messaged by several people directly outside of the post itself, and or people just coming up and saying, "Hey, thanks for posting that," because I think there's actually a pressure to not talk bad about it.
Right.
There's pressure to use it. There's this pressure like you have to be using it, and it has to be the greatest thing in the world.
And you have to like it. Yep.
Yes.
Like doing it.
And I've had a few people just say, "Hey, thanks for saying that." I've been wanting to say something similar, but feel like if I do, I'm just going to be labeled as, get off my grass, old man kind of stuff, right?
And you already had that label, so it was no big deal, right?
I know, dude. Actually, I edited that post about 12 times, trying to make it as less get off my grassy as I possibly could, because I knew that was probably going to be the first reaction was old guy out of touch,
Old guy yells at clouds.
right? Yeah.
But
Um,
I think it's a fair criticism, and it's a fair take that it is like we are expected to enjoy it. We are expected to like it. We are expected not to think about it. Like you said, Allison, like keep producing. Don't stop. Just add more buttons, add more, add more logic. Eventually it'll get right. It might slow down, but they'll come up with a new processor. That used to be the take back in the old days, is processors were getting faster and faster. So you could, this code will slow today, but tomorrow it'll be normal speed. So
the tomorrow problem.
that's tomorrow me's problem.
In that article, one of the things they mentioned was the erosion of confidence as you're relying more and more on the tools, and you see hallucinations. You're not getting the output you want, so you lose confidence in tools. You lose confidence in yourself and your ability to evaluate the output and to prompt effectively. And I thought that was interesting. I didn't really feel like I was losing confidence. I felt like I'm always learning when I use it for the most part. I like it. It's really a time saver in so many ways. Listen to our last podcast. We kind of gushed about all the ways we're using it. But today we get to rant.
Well, I like it too. Well, I don't know, kind of weird, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, I am sort of tired and I just want to unplug, like Chad said, right? Like I honestly do get sick of talking about AI. It's like, man, can we just talk about baseball? I just want to go to a baseball game. But I when I am using it and I'm enjoying what I'm learning about it. So yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like it's just, we're in that weird sort of growth stage. It's these growing pains where we can see the potential in it, but God, it's a pain in the ass to get there.
I mean, several of you are old enough to know that back in the day, the early growth of internet was like, oh, just whip up an e-commerce site and you'll be loaded
Yeah.
and IPO and it'll be magic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
It has that same vibe.
everybody thought you needed an e-commerce site. You just need an e-commerce site. That's all you need.
Yeah.
It was back then, it was a page.
Yeah.
You got to have a web page. You don't have a page?
Right.
Yeah. It's a fad.
It does have that same vibe, right? Where it's just, use it. Use it for what? Doesn't matter. Just use it, right?
Yeah.
There is.
I've heard it. I mean, I'm not making this up. I've heard it multiple times where like, yeah, they want us to use AI. Okay. For what? Like, what are the outcomes? Like, what exactly are we using it for? Well, we don't know yet. They just want us to use it. They want us to get, I'm like, okay, does it even make sense for your role? Right? Like,
Go learn the drums and the bass. Why? Are we starting a band? Just learn them. You never know when you need to know how to play the bass.
Yeah. The tool is the tool. I think it's up to leadership a lot to one, understand its capabilities, and two, like actually define what you're trying to accomplish with it instead of just say use AI, right? Like AI has obvious use cases for, developers, like incredibly obvious. But does it have is there a use case there for my Scrum Master? Maybe, right? Maybe summarizing a sprint review or whatever, right? But honestly, even that is like, there's 18 cards in a sprint review. Do you really need a tool to summarize that for you? Or can you just spend the extra 15 seconds to read everything and use your own? I don't know, man. I think the leadership issue here is stark. It's like, you have to tell us what you're trying to get at, and then let us define the tool set that we use to get there, instead of giving us a tool set and not really a really well-defined problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's some matches, some gasoline. Go play.
Yeah.
Let us know where the problems are. I think that's a good point, Chad, where these are great tools for some things. They are not great tools for everything. And they are also crutches and like if I use AI to summarize the article that you wrote with AI to take your prompt that was just the summary that I'm getting, what did that buy us?
Yeah.
Where's the benefit there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like sometimes they ask you to go, I need you to paint my house. Here's a hammer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll
Having
work.
flashbacks of the early days of SharePoint.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chad. I mean,
Oh, you got it in there, man.
it's been a while.
The inside joke is that Kyle mentioned SharePoint almost every podcast. We could be talking about baseball. Somehow SharePoint would make it in there.
Well, I did it for a long time.
But there again, it was a tool in search of a problem sometimes, right?
Yep.
And I think that's what we're facing with AI, is that it's a tool in search of a problem, and we're still trying to find the problems that it's very good and effective at. And I think that's going to fatigue us for a while, and maybe longer than some of us are willing to to believe. Even is like, well, this AI thing, it's got to die soon, right? Or get better.
I mean, maybe this is a poor way to think about it, but as consultants, I'm happy to, I'm happy to bill the hours for you
Right.
to work on whatever poorly defined problem you have, right?
I will paint your house with a hammer.
I will, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll dip the hammer and paint, and we'll just Jackson Pollock the thing,
That house will have paint on it, and it will be painted.
That's
Yeah.
But will it? Yeah. And obviously we'll push back a little bit and say, are you sure you want me to paint your house with a hammer? Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our secret sauce, is asking the right questions. And my buddy Chad Levine, he's got a great his line is pretty consistent. He's like, I'll kind of push back twice, right? And be like, is that what you want? Is that what you really want? And then he's like, all right. There are two Chads at SDG. One of them is referred to the good Chad, and the other is the bad Chad. Well, actually, I've never called bad Chad. He's the good Chad.
So there's Chad, and then there's the good Chad.
Yeah. Have we talked to the good Chad about this? Shut up.
So the
sounds like you have good
pressure,
Chad fatigue.
the pressure from leadership is just AI. Dig in. Here's 50 different tools, without a lot of direction on what to build. But once you get actual, like an actual mission, actual direction, to me, that's a lot easier than to move forward on. And of course it is. But then it's fun. But then the expectation is, well, how quickly can you build it? How much time did it save? It's like, well,
Yeah.
I had to learn it, and then I had to work differently than I'm used to. And then my head was buzzing, and I had a headache at the end of the day, and I felt confused. And yeah, but otherwise it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think return on investment is going to be a challenge to identify and quantify enough for everyone, right? Like there are things that these tools do amazingly well. And they do them faster than any of us can type or think or what have you. But at the end of the day, did they get it right? Did they get it 100% right? Did they get it 50% right? And I still, what is the saying that the first 90% takes 10% of the time and the last 10% takes the other 180% of the time or something like that?
Yeah, bit of a math error there, but I'm saying
I don't know. AI was summarizing it for me and I wasn't sure exactly what they were saying.
Well, no, I was actually going to say the same thing. I wonder, I mean, I've used it on some tasks and only because I didn't really think about it, but when I got done with it, kind of like Allison said earlier, I was like, why did I take the time to, like, it would have taken me 35 seconds, but instead I spent 13 minutes, getting
Fighting
AI
through
to
the
do it
jungle.
for me. And it's
Yeah.
like, and so there's some of that with our job too, is I guess just learning when it is the right time, when it's worth it and when it's not.
one of my guilty sins with using AI, like I use Claude Code locally and for personal projects and GitHub Copilot, the command line for work projects. And I'll, at the end of whatever feature I'm working on, whatever I'm doing, I'll have AI, I'll tell AI, I'm like, all right, generate a commit message that summarizes the changes. And then it'll do that. And I'll say, all right, now commit and push. And AI will do that for you, right? It will burn up your tokens. It'll say, let me look up the commit, the push command. Let me figure out how to do this. And it tries to like rewire itself. Like, okay, how do I do that again, right? It teaches itself and it burns, 1% of your monthly token usage, figuring out that command. Or I could just go in another window and say commit and push, right? Like, right. It does. Once you're in the tool, it starts to reinforce laziness like that. Yeah, and like it's like when you at the end of prompts, saying please at the end of prompts burns like, I don't know, however many resources and because it's processing the please.
Right.
So you're killing trees by being polite, and draining the ocean or whatever the hell they're doing with it, whatever resources.
Spoiling it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one, because I've caught myself doing that. I'm talking to it like actually being like, I'm afraid I'm going to hurt its feelings.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here? And I've got a whole lot of extra
Misplaced
words in there
empathy.
that are just really unnecessary.
I
It's funny.
complimented it. That
AI
was really
part of
nice of you, AI. Thank you so much. You're great.
I did that once. I actually had it write me some code, and it wrote some code, and I was like, well, that's not bad, but did you think about doing it this way? And it was like, oh, that's a great idea. And I'm like, why did I this
Why
happened?
did I even ask it to think differently, right?
Well, yeah, or why did I waste the time to say, you know what, that was a good try?
Because they might become sentient and judge humanity one day.
Yeah,
We want to be in
maybe,
its good
maybe.
graces.
Yeah, maybe I'll be on its good side when that happens, when the
Exactly.
Matrix.
I tell you, the voice driven one on the phone freaks me out.
Mm. Feels
It's
too much like a
frightening.
real conversation.
Yeah. And then oh no, this is bad. Yeah. Any parting thoughts before we shut her down for the day?
Opening day is in 2 weeks, man. I can't wait.
Thing.
2 weeks and 2 hours and 1 minute.
Nice. It's good to have that tracked for you.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take time. We're still getting there. We're still finding our way. We're still cutting jungle. Eventually we'll be through the other side, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
agree. I feel like there's this is a new tool and we're still learning how the human part of that interface should work, because we're always going to have biological and psychological limitations and preferences and stuff. And we're going to need to learn how to use AI without hurting our brains or hurting our, the soul fulfilling parts of the jobs that we like to do. How do we make sure that we're not ignoring the human element of the work that we're doing with like Greg was saying, I used to get enjoyment from mentoring these younger developers, and I like to collaborate with other designers. And if, just like everything else seems to be, these tools are isolating us and letting us interface more with robots than humans, or getting outside to think creatively for a little while. It's that human element stuff, making sure we're taking care of ourselves as we use this new tool.
Yep, I agree 100%. I think that's what it's taken away. I think we'll figure out a way to put it back, but it's growing pains until then.
Yep.
But what we put back will be AI.
Yeah, probably.
Doom.
It'll be
Wait.
nicer AI. It'll be like my buddy. It'll be
Awesome.
the other good Chad.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, good Chad. Bad Chad. Who knows? Schrodinger's Chad. All right, let's shut her down and say goodbye, everybody.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Solution Design Group is a digital product consultancy in Minneapolis. Check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.